What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. My name is Lucas Wencl, and today we're going to be counting down the 10 best picks from the 2023 NFL Draft. Let's dive on in. Kicking us off at number 10 is edge rusher Tyree Wilson, who was drafted 7th overall by the Las Vegas Raiders. Prior to the draft, there was talk of Wilson being the 2nd overall pick to Houston. While Will Anderson Jr. is the most complete edge rusher in this class, Tyree Wilson definitely has the most upside. He possesses elite size at 6'5" and a nearly 7-foot wingspan. While Wilson is elite in pass rush, he's also very good against the run, and there is still plenty of room for him to improve. The reason Wilson slides in at the bottom of this list, though, is that Vegas had bigger holes to fill on the offensive line and in their secondary. However, I can totally understand team need going out of the window when a guy with this stature and athletic upside slides to you in the first round and will likely be a key piece to bolstering down this Raiders defense for years to come. Coming in at number 9 is cornerback Devon Witherspoon, who was drafted 5th overall by the Seattle Seahawks. Admittedly, I thought Jalen Carter should have been the pick here, but it didn't take long for me to realize that this is the beginnings of the Legion of Boom 2.0. Witherspoon is physical and doesn't allow himself to get beaten coverage. For PFF, he only allowed a 34.9% completion rate in 2022. He possesses great route recognition and ball instincts, which helped him accumulate 17 pass breakups last year as well. Witherspoon also didn't allow a single touchdown his final season at Illinois, and even allowed less yards per attempt than last year's cornerback darling Sauce Gardner. To top it all off, Witherspoon had the highest coverage grade amongst defensive backs per PFF with a 92.5 grade. This pairing of Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon will be scary for years to come, and this ultimately was a really good pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Sliding in at number 8 is wide receiver Josh Downs, who was the 79th pick in the 3rd round by the Indianapolis Colts. I believe this is sneaky one of the best picks in terms of value and team need. The Colts already have 2 towers on the outside in Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Paris Campbell departed in free agency, which opened up a need at the slot wide receiver position for Josh Downs to hopefully slide into. Downs best compares to shifty, hyper-athletic players like Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson. His tempo change in routes throws off defenders in man coverage, he has great separation burst, and he surprisingly has good toughness at the point of the catch. Downs even noted that he spoke to Colts legend Reggie Wayne, who told Downs himself that he wanted him on his squad. While Downs doesn't fit the prototypical wide receiver the Colts have targeted in recent years, new head coach Shane Steichen should have no issues finding ways to utilize him, and he may even be a safety blanket favorite of either Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson. At number 7 is offensive tackle Broderick Jones, who was selected 14th overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 2 glaring needs for the Steelers were offensive tackle and cornerback. They struck a deal with the New England Patriots to trade up from 17 to 14 and likely sniped Broderick Jones from the New York Jets at pick 15. Jones is a super athletic player with great size and length. He's certainly a day 1 starter for the Steelers team and can become a core piece to open up holes for Najee Harris and protect Kenny Pickett. Jones was an AP All-SEC first teamer last season and made the coach's All-SEC freshman team in 2021 as well. Jones's grit and hard-working mentality will fit great into the Steelers culture Mike Tomlin has built, and ultimately, this was a win-win for both the Steelers and Patriots on draft night. Coming in at number 6 is center John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota, who was drafted 57th overall in the 2nd round by the New York Giants. I absolutely loved this pick. For some, John Michael Schmitz had a 1st round grade, yet fell to the 2nd round. He was mocked by many to go 25th overall to the Giants, yet they stayed patient and let the best center in this class fall to them. Schmitz is an immediate day 1 starter for a glaring need on this Giants offensive line. He made all the calls up front for the Minnesota Gophers. His teamwork is great within scheme, and he's steady, consistent, and patient with all his blocks while also being fairly aggressive. Schmitz was nominated AP All-American First Team last season, and he was well deserving of it. This was a home run pick for the Giants, who were able to shore up other needs in their secondary prior to selecting John Michael Schmitz as well. Sliding in at number 5 is offensive guard O'Cyrus Torrence, who was selected 59th overall in the 2nd round by the Buffalo Bills. Similar to John Michael Schmitz, some had a 1st round grade on Torrence, and many had him mocked in the 1st round of the Bills as well. But like the Giants, the Bills stayed patient and landed their guy towards the end of the 2nd round. O'Cyrus Torrence is big. The 6'5", 330-pound guard from Florida has a great understanding for his job and role on the offensive line. He's not the most nimble of players, but he uses his size as leverage and has great instincts and hand control. He held his own against Georgia's Jalen Carter this past season and even made it through the 2022 season penalty-free per PFF. Again, this fills a big hole on the Bills' offensive line to protect Josh Allen and open up some lanes for their committee of running backs. At number 4 is one of my favorite players from this draft, safety Brian Branch, who was selected 45th overall in the second round by the Detroit Lions. For as much flack as Detroit caught in the first round after reaching at both 12 and 18, they landed a gem in the early second round with Brian Branch. While there's areas Branch can improve upon in his game, he was one of the only prospects in this draft with relatively no weaknesses in his game. He's both quick and strong. He can match up with almost any wide receiver prototype. Branch racked up 90 tackles, 7 pass deflections, and earned first-team All-American honors as well his final season in Alabama. Brian Branch is by far one of the safest prospects from this draft, and the Lions added a much-needed piece to their secondary. Kicking off the top 3 is defensive lineman Jalen Carter out of Georgia, who was selected 9th overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, come on, man. For how talented this Eagles team is, they have no business adding arguably the best defensive prospect in this class to their squad. And to only give up a future 4th to move up 1 spot with Chicago to get him, they made it far too easy. We can discuss Jalen Carter's potential character issues all we want, but at the end of the day, the Eagles will be competing for a Super Bowl, and that should keep Jalen Carter inspired to come in and get work done because no other season outcome will be accepted. The Eagles also already have his Georgia teammates Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean from 2021, and if anybody knows how to get Jalen Carter going, it'll be those two. The amount of accolades Jalen Carter has racked up is endless. We all know how talented of a prospect he is. But what's crazy is that he isn't the only Eagles draft selection to be in the top 3 of this list. At number 2, we have cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who went 17th overall to the New England Patriots. His slide on draft night was a shocker. He was a near consensus top 10 pick in expert mock drafts. He was the clear cornerback 1 or 2 around the industry, yet Gonzalez slid out of the top 15, and the Commanders even elected to take Emmanuel Forbes ahead of him. Christian Gonzalez feels like a dream match for a Bill Belichick team. He's not outspoken and doesn't outwardly show his competitiveness. Gonzalez is a keep your head down and take care of your business kind of guy. His performance on the field shows exactly that. He's extremely athletic, scoring a 9.95 out of 10 relative athletic score. He's well versed in a multitude of man and zone schemes. Gonzalez has the makings of being a lockdown cornerback 1 in the NFL, and Bill Belichick will make sure he gets everything he can out of the Oregon product. Lastly, the best pick from the 2023 NFL Draft was edge rusher Nolan Smith, who was selected 30th overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was the 13th best player on Daniel Jeremiah's big board, yet the Eagles added another crazy defensive talent out of Georgia at the tail end of the first round. It was no secret the Eagles liked Nolan Smith. Had they not been able to land Jalen Carter with their first pick in the first round, Nolan Smith was one of the favorites to be selected instead. The Eagles now have drafted 4 of Georgia's best defensive players in the last 2 years, and Smith is an incredible fit for this defense. He has blazing speed, running a 4.39 40 at the combine. He racked up 56 tackles in 2021 while also forcing 3 fumbles. If teams let Nolan Smith slide due to his torn pectoral muscle, that may end up being a mistake once the Eagles cut Nolan Smith loose in 2023. Alrighty, y'all, that is all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you are and turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up.